Now at 10, President Biden addresses the nation as the Omicron variant becomes the dominant COVID-19 strain in the U.S. Plus, new cameras at the Crawford County Jail focus on security, but officials say they can play another role as well. And the Southeast Kansas Community Health Center is offering free COVID-19 at-home testing. How that works and why it's important heading into the holiday.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The Omicron variant is now the dominant strain of COVID-19 nationwide, detected in 49 states and spreading faster than any previous strain by far. Nearly 290,000 Americans tested positive for COVID yesterday. That's the second highest total since the pandemic began. Natalie Brand takes a look at what health officials are saying as many prepare to gather with family.
From Los Angeles to New York, Chicago to Miami, hundreds of thousands of Americans waited in long lines for a COVID test, frustration growing.
There should be a better system by now.
Add to that a new warning from the CDC, expecting a record number of new cases as soon as January, fueled by the Omicron variant, its reach likely multiplied by Americans traveling and gathering for the holidays.
I don't think anybody anticipated that this was going to be as rapidly spreading as it did.
Tuesday, President Biden announced plans to roll out new federally run testing sites in highly populated communities, starting with New York. He also announced plans to send at-home rapid COVID tests to Americans who request one starting in January.
We'll be getting these tests to Americans for free, and we'll have websites where you can get them delivered to your home.
The Biden administration is also sending federal medical personnel to help out in states where resources are stretched thin, and the president has put the Pentagon on notice to have 1,000 troops ready to help with medical needs.
1 in 5 hospitals nationwide expects to encounter a staffing shortage within a week.
And in the case of the Omicron variant, that 1-2 punch of so many people getting infected and knocking out a substantial segment of our healthcare workforce at the same time.
President Biden assured those who are vaccinated and boosted that they should be able to gather safely over the holidays with family. But he also had a stark warning for Americans who have not yet received a COVID vaccine.
Almost everyone who has died from COVID-19 in the past many months has been unvaccinated.
To the unvaccinated, President Biden reminded them that former President Trump recently announced he too received a booster shot. Federal health experts say that extra dose is the best protection. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Tonight, the CDC reports more than 1,000 children have now died from COVID-19 since the beginning of the pandemic. With Christmas and other holidays approaching, a lot of people are expected to travel in the next few weeks. But the Omicron variant of COVID-19 is raising concerns for health officials and locals in Southeast Kansas. To ensure residents are safe for their holiday visits, the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas today handed out at-home tests in Pittsburgh.
We have 2 different kinds. One kind which does not require a smartphone. It's a 2-test kit that you can test yourself 24 to 36 hours apart. The second one that does require a smartphone, those were provided to us through KU. We're working with them on a grant, and that does require an app to be downloaded.
Results for both tests can be expected in as little as 15 minutes. Checking in with Doug Henny now. Mild day, Doug.
Yeah, not bad at all. Temperature is pretty good for us today as we did go into the 50s once again for highs, which is 10 degrees above our average high. We started right on the mark at 27, and we're going to drop back into the 20s once again for us during the overnight hours tonight. We had a few little tiny clouds that kind of dropped through, but besides that, not much going on. We look pretty good across the entire Central Plains, and we're really going to have a big warm up as we go through the next few days. It is cold right now. Most of us 32 to about 36 degrees. We'll drop back into the upper 20s later on tonight, about 28 degrees. 40 by 9, 53 by noon, high temp, very similar to today, maybe a notch or 2 warmer up into the upper 50s, but a big warm up Thursday into Christmas Eve. We're going to look at that coming up here in just a bit.
See you then. The Crawford County Jail has added some new eyes. Officials have added cameras to the facility. The cameras are operated and positioned in such a way to help prevent blind spots, helping to ensure security for inmates and jail staff. Cameras also allow jailers to spot potential mechanical issues before they become worse.
It's just one of those things that it keeps the staff safe. It keeps the inmates safe. We've had a couple of things where a couple of our staff members have been assaulted, and a couple of times those have happened in kind of blind spots. We've also had things happen in the cells where inmates may have been attacked, or there may be some other thing going on that they're not supposed to be doing.
The jail added around 40 cameras. The search is on to replace outgoing Pitt State President Steve Scott. He announced earlier this year that he was stepping down from the position in June of 2022 after 13 years in that position. The university announced today it's accepting applications for Scott's replacement. They described the university's next leader as an entrepreneurial, enterprising, empowering presence. Hunters in Missouri killed 5 elk in the second year of hunting of the animal in the state, 3 with firearms, 2 during the archery portion of the hunting season. The Missouri Department of Conservation said the total matched the 5 elk taken in 2020. This year, the firearms elk hunting period was December 11th through 19th, and the archery portion ran October 16th through the 24th. 5 hunters were chosen for elk permits through a random drawing. The Conservation Department says elk are native to Missouri, but were hunted to extinction in the late 1800s in the state. Elk have been restored through years of efforts to reintroduce the animals. A Black History mural on a college campus in St. Louis, Missouri was defaced over the weekend. According to Washington University officials, the mural normally displays the faces of prominent black figures. The walkway where it's located connects the main buildings of the Danforth campus to most student housing. Sometime Saturday, the mural was covered with the logo and symbols of a known white supremacist group. A letter from university officials said students informed them about the vandalism. The leaders hope the surveillance video will help them identify the vandals. The Washington University Police Department is investigating. Still ahead, new numbers show population growth in the U.S. is historically slow. We'll look at the numbers. And new research shows the seasonal flu vaccines don't match one of the main strains currently circulating. 14 months after the first sale of medical marijuana in Missouri, the state has reached a milestone. The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services reports dispensaries in the state have sold $200 million in product. Missouri has more than 158,000 qualified medical marijuana patients and 3,200 caregivers. The U.S. had its slowest population growth on record this year. New Census Bureau figures released today show population grew in 2021 by some 392,000 people. That's a 0.1% growth and the slowest national rate ever recorded. It's also the first time since 1937 that the U.S. population grew by fewer than 1 million people. While population growth has been slowing in recent years, the COVID-19 pandemic is what really affected overall growth. Demographers say coronavirus is leading to less international migration, decreased fertility, and it killed more than 800,000 of our fellow Americans, lowering our overall population. Pardes Biosciences says it's developed a new COVID-19 antiviral pill. The drug maker says the pill does not require a booster, and phase 1 testing should be completed early next year. The FDA has yet to authorize a coronavirus treatment pill, but is currently reviewing new medications from Merck and Pfizer. Health experts are warning about a double whammy of COVID-19 and influenza this winter. Adding to those concerns, research showing the seasonal flu vaccines don't match one of the main strains currently circulating. Jen Sullivan has a closer look.
A vaccine mismatch, as some health experts warn of a severe flu season.
This year, the kind that's going to be predominant is the one that causes the most severe flu. And so probably it's going to be a bad year for influenza.
In a preliminary study, researchers say one of the main circulating influenza viruses has changed, and the current vaccines against it no longer match it well. The flu vaccines for this season are not as effective at beating a particular mutation of the virus in the strain known as H3N2. And while you can still be protected from getting sick if you get the shot, This year's flu shot may not be as effective at preventing infection from this mutation because the vaccines don't seem to generate the right antibodies against the mutated versions circulating.
I think we're never going to get a 100% match on the strain and the vaccine, but regardless, I think that given what's going on with COVID, it's really important to get the influenza vaccine.
Health experts say vaccinations are still vital as influenza vaccines protect against 4 different strains of the flu, and they are still likely to prevent severe illness, hospitalizations, and deaths, even in years where there are mismatches.
But even preventing half of influenza saves thousands and thousands of lives every year.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Jen Sullivan.
According to the CDC, influenza kills anywhere between 12,000 and 52,000 people a year, depending on the flu season, and puts as many as 700,000 people into the hospital. Doctors should prescribe fewer antidepressants and for shorter periods of time, according to a study out of the UK. Study authors came to this conclusion because of long-lasting withdrawal symptoms and possible side effects associated with the drugs. They also suggested while the drugs may help severely depressed patients, the cons could outweigh the pros for those with mild to moderate depression. A new option is available in preventing HIV. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved the first injectable medication to lower the risk of getting HIV through physical contact. The FDA made the announcement yesterday. Apretude is approved for adults and teens 77 pounds and heavier. It's given first as 2 shots a month apart and every 2 months afterward. Pre-exposure prophylaxis or PrEP medications were previously available only in the form of pills, Truvada and Descovy. The FDA noted that 2 double-blind clinical trials comparing Truvada with Apretude found significantly lower HIV risk in people getting the Apretude injection. However, Apretude was more likely to cause side effects such as injection site reactions, headache, fatigue, back pain, and rash. The holiday travel rush is only ramping up. The Transportation Security Administration says it screened more than 2 million people at airports nationwide for the 5th day in a row. TSA anticipates 30 million people will travel by air through January 3rd. In general, AAA expects more than 109 million people to travel 50 miles or more. That's a 30% increase from 2020. Airlines will see a 184% increase from last year. Later, the Missouri Tigers are just a day away from their Armed Forces Bowl matchup with Army. We'll have a preview in sports.
Also, we could be pressing record highs by the time we head into Christmas. We're going to look at that coming up. Not bad for us today. Most of us made it up into the mid-50s for afternoon highs, which is pretty good for the last third of December. And we're going to warm up even more as we go through the next few days. In fact, a big warm up. We're going to press record highs by the time Friday rolls around. We also have a weak system on Friday. However, as of right now, it looks like just clouds. Another storm system on Sunday. It looks like rain. Then a couple more next week, which could be rain or snow, so we'll have to watch it. Of course, you can get my long-range forecast on my month-long blog. That is KOAMnewsnow.com. Look at December. This is crazy. Remember, most of November, at least the last 3 weeks, above normal. All of our days in December, 50s, 60s, and 70s. We've only had a few random days that have been below normal, and we're going to continue that trend going into the next few days. Nice shot. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri, right on the west side of the town. And temperatures, it's getting kind of cold outside. Most of us are going to drop back through the overnight hours into the 20s. We're sitting kind of 32 to about 35, 36 degrees. So it is cold. We had light southerly winds today, and then a weak little cold front slid through. So it's giving us very light northerly winds, kind of ushering in some cooler temperatures. So it's kind of chilly, 35. Pretty much clear skies, northerly winds, very light. Humidity is at 78%. And it looks like we'll have pretty much clear skies tonight. I wouldn't be surprised. We got a little bit of patchy fog in our southern counties, but besides that, we look okay. The entire Central Plains shaping up pretty good. Let's go west. You can see this little ridge of high pressure. That's going to dominate our weather over the next couple days. And then right behind it, here's our wave for Friday. But again, right now, it looks like it's just going to give us clouds across the region. Let's go through time for us tonight. We'll drop back upper 20s, 4 overnight lows. The winds switch out of the south for us tomorrow, so near 50 by noon. And I think we'll soar into the mid 50s during the afternoon. Here's your forecast starting at 28, 51 by noon, high temp right around 57. We'll have that south wind. It's going to be light at about 5 to 10. Tomorrow night, clear skies until late. We'll get some clouds sneaking in by Thursday morning, and then a lot of clouds on Thursday, but our temperatures should go into the 60s for highs. A lot of clouds again Thursday night and then into Friday morning. But I do think Christmas Eve, most of these clouds will shift east and we warm up into lower 70s for highs. Even Christmas Day looks pretty good. We do get a cold front that kind of sinks through, but we're still going to go into the 60s. Here's our rain chances on Sunday. We get a weak system that rotates through. Monday looks okay. Tuesday, here comes rain again. This could be rain possibly over to snow. That system exits. Here comes another system by the time we head into Thursday and also Friday, which is New Year's Eve. So a lot to watch for us next week. Not so much this week. 57 tomorrow, 61 on Thursday, 72. The record is 73 on Christmas Eve. So we're making a run at it. 66 on Saturday, cooling down early next week.
Santa doesn't need snow.
He doesn't.
Through.
That's true.
He's like the mailman.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the weather is. Thanks, Doug. Coming up in sports, Kansas City Chiefs prepare for their Week 16 showdown against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Joplin Eagles hit the floor against Parkview, aiming to remain undefeated. Jacob Leonard has those highlights and more next.
The Joplin Eagles are off to a hot start in their first season under head coach Bronson Shockey. The Eagles are undefeated, 7-0 in the first month of the season. Now tonight, Joplin tries to stay perfect with a home game against the Parkview Vikings. It's a really slow start for Joplin. Elijah Whitley straight to the rim for 2. Then TJ Hill, top of the key. Vikings up 12-3 after 1. All right, got going for Joplin in the second. Finishes on the break. Then knocks down the 3 from the corner. 9 for Wright in the second quarter alone. Joplin, though, down 24-14 at half. Third quarter, always Wright to the rim and the foul. Eagles cut the lead to a 2-possession game for just a minute, but Parkview closes the third strong. Shane Glass gets up for the two-handed jam on the break. The Vikings and Joplin their first loss of the season, 60-47. The Missouri Tigers are less than 24 hours away from playing in their final game of the football season. The Tigers face Army tomorrow night in the Armed Forces Bowl in Fort Worth, Texas. Now, Mizzou finished the regular season with an even 6-6 record. On the other side, Army is 8-4. Now, the Tigers will be without one of their best players in running back Tyler Beatty, who has declared for the NFL draft and will set the game out. Now, on the other side, it's also going to be a big test for the Mizzou defense, facing a team that's second in the nation, rushing for more than 280 yards per game.
Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity to prove, to show everybody, like, the run defense has got better, the whole defense has got better. We playing basically run first because that's what they do, so we just have to stop the triple option and make them change and pass the ball.
Just another opportunity to just prove ourselves and just redeem our name, because we came a long way as a defense, and we're just ready to prove ourselves once again.
The Kansas City Chiefs have added 6 players to the NFL's COVID list today, including wide receiver Tyreek Hill and linebacker Nick Bolton. That brings the total number of Chiefs on the COVID list to 14, with the players today joining Travis Kelce, Harrison Butker, and others. Now, if those players are vaccinated, like Kelce is, they do have a chance to be back in time for the team's game against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday. So that's obviously a big storyline, but also we get 2 of the best and most consistent coaches in the league squaring off, with Andy Reid facing Pittsburgh's Mike Tomlin.
Mike is very honest with his guys, and I think very honest with his judgment of his players. And so that becomes important. That communication with their general manager, I think, is healthy. And then the players know that. I mean, you don't hear people complaining about how he does things. So I think he shoots them straight.
That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran. Petty Officer 3rd Class Daryl Malone served in the U.S. Navy. His hometown, Coffeyville, Kansas. And we are proud to salute Petty Officer 3rd Class Daryl Malone. He's tonight's four-state hero. Neighborhood Lifehouse in Joplin tonight hosted its Christmas candlelight service. It was a night of worship and reflection for those in attendance. Choir and dance students performed, and soup was available for folks to warm up.
My favorite thing is the fellowship that we have together. Each year we have a soup supper at the end where we gather around tables and share meals together.
Lifehouse had hosted the event for 12 years prior to the pandemic. They took a break last year due to safety concerns. Certainly doesn't feel like Christmas season, Doug.
Nope, and it's going to get worse if you want the cold weather for Christmas, because it's going to get warmer. 57 tomorrow, 61 on Thursday, on Christmas Eve, approaching record highs. 72, 66 on Saturday, and then it gets kind of active for us next week.
It's been a warm month, really.
Yeah.
Final sports notes.
I'm excited about this. On Christmas night, we'll be airing our pigskin preview, where we were right, where we were wrong on our predictions. So we'll make fun of ourselves a little bit, and it'll be a good time.
Always look forward to that. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with a look at some holiday lights in Sydney, Australia. Let's make it a great tomorrow.